What's going on, guys? Today we have a 100% full auto, free-to-play friendly Hydra team that's done on Nightmare, can get you all of your Clash rewards each and every week using Kro'khad and Tshirt, as well as, well, of course, other free-to-play accessible champions. Your goal in Hydra should always be at least to get all of these chests. If you're not already, this is going to be the perfect team for you. Now, once you get past this point, it ultimately comes down to your clan and do you want to push Hydra Clash and actually place in the higher points? If so, optimize more teams. If not, just do the minimums on Brutal and Hard if you're able to hit Nightmare. Now, Nightmare Hydra, in case you want to know what the stats required are going to be, look over here. We can see all the stats. Visit the hellhades.com/raid/stages tool. Go to Hydra rotation that you're looking for, Nightmare specifically for me, and then check out the stats down here. So you can see if the resistance is 335, you're going to need 360 accuracy. If the accuracy is 200, you're going to need 305 resistance. So for my run, resistance highest that I need is going to be basically 450, 460, somewhere around there. The highest accuracy that I'm going to need is going to be, I believe, 330, 350, somewhere around there, with 360 being on the Head of Suffering. Now, we do have a champion in this team that's going to reduce those requirements a little bit. Before I show the team, I want to make a quick mention that this video I did, if you guys are interested in joining the account takeover, sorry, not account takeover, the account giveaway, as in you take over my old account forever, I'll leave this video link down below, as well as the link to the giveaway in case you guys want to join that. Pretty simple, pretty easy. It'll be drawn tomorrow on stream, which will be on YouTube, Twitch, and my first ever Kick stream. But that'll be at 9 a.m. Eastern time when it starts, and then it'll be drawn around 11 a.m. Eastern time. You don't have to be there to win, but it does make it easier to claim, of course. Now, when I click this Hydra team, some of you guys are going to spam, it's not free-to-play friendly, because there's one champion, Mithrala, who is free-to-play, but she's not baseline. I can't change that. I can't take away the empowerments, but I did not equip a piece of gear to hopefully make it more relatable. And to be honest, it's not going to do that much for this particular setup anyways. So this is the team that I used. We have Lamasu, Mithrala. Yes, she is +4, but you'll see why that doesn't really matter in just a minute, or it's not that big of a deal. Kro'khad and Tshirt are both no blessings, so the potential you could get with them having higher blessings, more damage, more survivability, much more damage from Kro'khad with Nature's Wrath. Lydia is a 6-star blessing, but using a blessing that doesn't really matter here. Nature's Bound, so it's really only for Chimera, or whatever it's called, Nature's Bounty. And then Tholin, a free champion, not even a 4-star blessing. He's a 3-star blessing, so no extra crit damage. There's a lot more that can be squeezed out from him. So let's take a look at the gear of these champions. First up is Mithrala. After we look at this, I want to give you guys some ideas on other champions you could swap in that's going to be much better for this team. Because when I was doing this, I was pretty limited as to only free-to-play champions. Duchess would have been a huge champion to throw in here. Different provoke options. So many champions could have fit these roles better. But I'll go over all that in just a minute. So Mithrala is here. She's a free champion from Hydra. You'll eventually get her. She is relatively fast, okay HP, okay defense. We have 361 accuracy, and then of course accuracy goes into resistance, which not really need it anyways. She is in a provoke set, but if you have a champion who can bring a provoke, you don't need Mithrala in a provoke set. I have her in this set because she does have an AoE A2 ability that places Hex, but also can place provoke. Now, she's not as good as a champion with a provoke on their A1, for example, because she's not going to target the Head of Decay on auto. Whereas if a champion has provoke in their skills, now with the change to AIs, they're actually going to target that Head of Decay to begin with. Now, for her masteries, we're over here. We have War Master. I'm going to try to go through these champions relatively quick. That is Mithrala's setup. She has Brimstone, which is a pretty nice addition to her kit. 5-star, but doesn't have to be. Then we have Lydia. Lydia is in my Chimera build, shield set, which is irrelevant here, and a protection set. The main thing with her is you want good speed, good survivability, good accuracy. Resistance, I don't really care about it. We have no relic on her. We have a blessing that does nothing here, and we have War Master. War Master is very important for Kro'khad especially. He places that leech. War Master on these champions. We don't run any revive champion whatsoever, which is a downside, but there's not a significant amount of heals outside of the leech applied by Kro'khad, which, if you have War Master, that's some pretty big heals throughout the fight. Up next, we have, let's think about who I want to show next. We have Lamasu. Lamasu is probably one of the more difficult champions to achieve because it takes siege victories over a long period of time. If you don't have her, this is why she's in the team. She's in the team specifically for the decreased speed as well as the block buffs. Block buffs is also covered by Tshirt. So then you're really only looking for the decreased speed as well as the decreased attack. So if you have a champion who can do both decreased speed and decreased attack, or if you mix and match those abilities, then you're going to be in a good spot. If you don't have a revive champion, you really need decreased attack. And if you aren't going extremely fast, you're really going to need decreased speed, basically in all situations. She also brings this reset, but on full auto, it's not perfect. It does start spreading to different random champions, but the way I have the team set up, she should be using this on Mithrala most of the time. Also brings a nice speed aura for all battles. So her sets, she has reflex plus impulse, doesn't really matter to be honest. She's pretty fast, good accuracy, good survivability. So we're looking at, for good survivability, ideally 60,000 plus HP with ideally 3,000 plus defense. She is actually the first person to die in this run and did die before the run complete. She has War Master. Up next, let's check out Tshirt. Now, Tshirt for me isn't really bringing anything special that a kit could change, different sets. We could possibly go reflex or something like that for some more resets on this A3 skill for more turn meter boosts, but essentially, this ability can't be resisted. This can't be stolen. So you may think you don't need resistance, but if you don't want the other buffs given to him to be stolen so he can be a better mischief tank, then you're going to want to build some resistance. So in my case, I have 417 resistance. That, as you remember from here, is not actually enough resistance to resist the Head of Mischief from stealing my buffs. However, take a quick look back at Lamasu, and she brings a passive that is going to reduce the accuracy and resistance of a target up to 100 whenever she places debuffs on the enemy. So they're going to have their accuracy and resistance reduced anyways, giving Tshirt plenty of accuracy, plenty of resistance to resist the Head of Mischief from stealing my buffs. So he should be a pretty good mischief tank, and even if something does get stolen, it's not really that big of a deal because the 3 buffs that he places on himself uniquely are going to be there, and he still has, 2 mainly, and he still has a good chance of being the mischief target. If you got Lightning Cage, it should increase those odds as well. So if I had a few star blessings, I'd throw Lightning Cage on him. Cruelty would be something very nice to have in this team as well, which unfortunately I just don't have. That's Packmaster Tshirt. Let's go take a look at his dog, his friendly companion over here. We have Kro'khad the Throatripper. I'm not going to click through the champion's specific gear because it doesn't really matter. On Kro'khad and Tholin, I will, but the other, I don't think it's as big of a deal. So here we have Merciless 6-piece. If you had Savage, if you had Instinct, if you had any other gear set, that's going to be fine. This is obviously not an early game free-to-play team. It's a more, you've been farming Curse City and you have some pieces from there. This is not going to be early game as far as the Merciless build, but an Instinct build will be very comparable, especially if you have that 6-star soul. That 6-star soul, or 5-star soul, better yet, will give you more HP, more defense, more crit damage, more accuracy and resistance, which in this case doesn't really matter. But we do have a Blood Shield ring on him. This is not required if you're running a Revive champion. I am not running a Revive champion. He gets a bunch of turns sometimes and actually ends up, from Lamasu resetting him sometimes, he actually outran the shield previously. I did adjust the team order so he does a little bit better now, but if you don't have plenty of sustainability, the shield is helpful, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. If you have this, throw it on there. If you don't, it's probably not going to make or break your run necessarily. Now, as for his individual pieces, I'll click through these. We're going for good speed. We're going for good damage. He does have the Cat's Gaze relic on him, but if you don't have Cat's Gaze, just do a similar build to what I have on Tholin, which Tholin build is actually pretty good, and he did some pretty solid damage as well, which I'll show you guys in just a moment, and we'll have the entire run at the end of this video as well, in case you want to watch it. So these are his masteries. You can mix it up. I had him in the this one right here because I was going to run him with Gerptuk in a different team. I just didn't change it. This may not be the most optimal for you, but it's a very good build. This A2 ability can't be resisted if Packmaster is on the same team, and Packmaster is, of course, on this team. So we have the leech plus weaken from him, plus the boosting of attack percentage. Very, very strong champion. And last but not least, we're looking at Tholin. Tholin was in the team because he was a free champion recently. He has strong, hard-hitting AoE abilities, chance to get extra turns, gives himself increased attack, which isn't really important here since Mithrala is doing that anyways. He also scales his attack percentage, which is a very good thing to take players' accounts who are a little bit lower and get them pushed into these nightmare or even brutal, if you want to go a little bit lower, difficulties of Hydra. You may not be able to build that much attack, but if you can scale up, then you're doing great. But also, bosses and minions cannot land critical hits on this champion, so he's very good at surviving, even though his build is not that good. He has 42,000 HP, fairly low. We have okay defense, not quite 3,000, decent speed, decent crit damage, but it's not because his gear is that good. This is adding 21% extra crit damage. Now, these are the pieces that I have on him. Definitely nothing crazy. We actually have crit rate gloves on him, which is not something you see very often. But you'll see in a moment that he's doing actually pretty solid damage still. This is only here for the extra attack percentage. It's a crit damage necklace. Extra attack percentage is pretty cool. And then we have some extra speed there. For his relic, you already saw it, the Malefic Talon. And then for the masteries, right over here. So that's all the champions, right? We have Lamasu, Mithrala, Kro'khad, Lydia, Tholin, and Tshirt. Now, let's look at the presets real quick, and then I'll show you guys the actual portion of the run. We have Lamasu 1 and 2, Mithrala right behind Lamasu because her AI was changed to basically prioritize the next person in the team order if they have abilities on cooldown as far as I'm aware. Now, Kro'khad, we have no presets on him apparently, but this is how I'd want the presets done. Lydia, number 1 there. Tholin, I guess it doesn't matter. I didn't set any presets, but you could do really whichever. I didn't pay attention to the run to see if he was using one or the other certain times, but essentially you want this to be scaled up as soon as possible. We're going to open with that, and then Tshirt 1 and 2. Now, as for the run and how much damage it dealt, you should probably have already seen it in the thumbnail, but it's going to be right here. So here's the run, the very end of it. This run specifically, the Lamasu died a little bit early. She had the heal reduction on herself, which was unfortunate. I didn't cut in to do anything manual. It wouldn't have really mattered. I could have probably used the reset on herself, boost her turn meter, use the A1, but I want it to be 100% full auto. So then here, she gets hit by the Head of Decay, dies. It was a very close fight, 5,000 HP there, the Head of Decay dealt. So turn 153, it was pretty close to the 750 turn mark. So we still had quite a bit more to squeeze out of this team. And of course, once Lamasu goes down, we have no decreased attack. We have no decreased speed. If they start going fast, we can't really keep up as well. So the run fails not too long after that. This run specifically would fail to a random champion dying, but it could also fail to champion hitting into reflect damage and just getting messed up from that. Reflect damage is definitely a big threat to Kro'khad and Tholin. Now, if you look at the damage here, we have Kro'khad doing almost 200 million damage. That's crazy. And then Tholin putting up a very respectable almost 90 million damage. Remember, Kro'khad's build versus Tholin's build is quite a bit different as well. So Kro'khad is 341 crit damage and Tholin is 274. So definitely I'd say actually no, Tholin is pretty high in attack. So maybe they're not too far apart. Oh, but Kro'khad does have the Cat's Gaze, whereas Tholin has a Malefic Talon. Either way, both very good champions, very good damage dealers, and were able to survive a very long time. Tholin ended up dying, I think, after Kro'khad, actually, but maybe not. Either way, oh no, Kro'khad got eaten. Tholin's dead, so wasn't able to free the champion from there. Now, if you wanted to jump in here and see the run, I'll go through a little bit with you guys, and then I'll play the entire full auto run after this. But there are some things to consider. I have a few advantages that a lot of you probably don't have. The champions are free to play. The area bonuses are complete, so I do have all this stuff added to my champions, which makes gearing them quite a bit easier. And then in Hydra, I also have quite a bit of bonuses over here as well. You saw the champion builds from their screen, which does not include Hydra bonuses, but from the Hydra bonus screen, it does obviously include. Well, from the Hydra screen here, this does include the champion Hydra bonuses. So you can see all these stats are going to be a little bit higher than what you saw before. Should be, right? 249, 321. Yeah, they are higher. And we're going to have more defense ignore as well. If you can't do it on Nightmare, just drop back to Brutal. You're still going to do really good damage. You should be able to push for all the chests complete. This could be optimized further. What I would do ideally is actually get rid of Mithrala and throw in somebody like Duchess. If I was able to do this, boom. We have now a Revive champion to last longer. We have a Perfect Veil to prevent those fears from the Head of Torment being placed and messing me up. I would consider replacing Tholin with possibly Marius, because Marius is going to be able to strip those reflect damages. He's going to be able to hit extremely hard from his A2 ability, of course. He's going to place increased defense on everybody, and we have the increased attack from Duchess. This is a pretty reasonable swap that could happen here as well. And now, maybe at this point, you don't necessarily need Lamasu. Maybe you wanted to bring in a champion who could do, let's see, maybe a Mikage for some more ally attacks, or a different ally attack champion who could do really good for you potentially. Or maybe you wanted a different, maybe you didn't want Lydia in here anymore. You wanted a different increased speed, decreased speed option. Look for a decreased speed champion. That's what Lamasu was bringing. Different decreased speed champion could be a Nekmo. He does bring Leech, which Kro'khad's already bringing, but he also brings a turn meter boost, an increased speed and a decreased speed. Maybe that frees up Lydia, because Kro'khad's bringing the weaken already, so now you just need decreased defense from somebody else. This could be another damage dealer potentially. Maybe you wanted Sissia in here. Decreased defense plus weaken, HP burn and activation. And now you have a little bit of a different team. It's not free to play friendly necessarily, because these champions are not all, free to play fusions and such. But this is a team that is mostly champions, I believe, who are all accessible some way except for Duchess. Now, if you don't have Duchess, this could be a Pythion. You have to think about what you're looking for as far as the role. For me, I couldn't switch Mithrala out very easily because she was bringing a Hex, she was bringing an increased attack, she was bringing a shield, and bringing a cleanse. There's not really any other free champions that could do all of that so well without really mixing things up a lot. So this is the team that I settled on that I think is going to be very accessible to a lot of players, and one that can easily have champions swapped and moved around. Don't have Lamasu, just look through your champions. For champions specifically with decreased speed and decreased attack. Guess who we got? We got Nekmo. Nekmo's an amazing champion. Lamasu is not bringing anything to this team that Nekmo wouldn't be able to. Nekmo is bringing just as much. The block buffs is good. If you had a champion who could strip as well, that could be awesome. We have a Krisk. Decreased speed and provoke. There we go. Now we don't need a provoke champion. We could take Mithrala out of that set. We have, what else? A decreased attack. Yeah, decreased attack on his hits. I was wondering what else he was bringing that I was filtering here just now. But he brings those extra stuff. You could put Mithrala in the lead. There's a lot of different things you could do in this team to make it still 100% full auto. The easiest way, though, is you're going to want to look for a reviver. So you're going to want to come in here. If your team gets a little bit weird sometimes, go to positive effects, go to revive, and then throw in a res champion of some kind. We got Molly. Molly's a provoke champion AoE for 2 turns, plus a turn meter boost on her passive, and a res on that A3 ability. Plus, could be a mischief tank if you wanted to do that, but don't want to use Molly. Uko, decreased attack, plus a res as well. Plus a strip and block buffs and decreased accuracy. So, kind of like a Lamasu, what she's bringing as far as the decreased accuracy and stuff, but there's a lot of different options you could use here. If you want any specific substitution for any of these champions, you could either ask in the comment section down below or join my Discord channel, where there'll be plenty of people there more than happy to help you guys out and get in a team like this set up. So we jump in here real quick and look at just the first little bit of this run. Really, it's not going to be anything different than what the replay is going to show. I'm going to let the replay show everything in just a few moments, but this, if you did not already build a Hydra team with Shayak plus Kro'khad, now is the time to do it. Like, well, I guess if you haven't summoned him yet, you could always wait till personal reward CVC. Then could be the time to do it. But this is just so big for a lot of players. I know many players who are not quite getting all the Hydra personal rewards each week, and this team unlocks that. Yeah, maybe your gear's not good enough to do it on Nightmare and unlock everything yet. This is bad news here. This reflect damage is about to mess me up. Tholin and the dog both will get tore up by this, especially with decreased defense and weaken. Unless fear goes off on both of them. But this head is so slow that it's never really going to fall off. and the heals from Leech aren't going to be enough to outweigh this anyways. So we just basically gotta wait for this. It's just unfortunate RNG not having the block buffs not being placed over this, and not having a strip champion could ruin this. But it's very easy to fix as well. Just bring in a strip champion and you're gonna be fine. Kro'khad actually did not do enough damage to break that, so maybe we are okay. We just gotta get Tholin boosted in HP a little bit here. Essentially. Kro'khad hitting. There we go. Oh. That was pretty close. The dwarf going hammer time and about destroys his HP. But no revive champion does make it a bit more sketchy, of course. See, Lamasu in the first position, of course, and then Mithrala in that second position gets her quite a bit of resets, actually, which is fantastic for this because she's able to do more of the A3 shield and the A2 increase attack, increase defense, everything. So having her in that second spot, very helpful. I put Kro'khad in the third spot in case Lamasu just goes down the line. If she does, Kro'khad, his leech and everything is very, very helpful as well. Something to keep in mind. It's actually worked out fine. I figured reflect damage was basically an instant loss, but apparently Mithrala's... Okay, well, it did die there. I was just waiting for it to happen, but reflect damage, big bad for this run. Surprise on the video, it took one try for it to mess up. I've ran it twice today. I ran it once, obviously, just now. I ran it once before this, the one that I have the thumbnail from, and then once before that, which is when I did not have Mithrala in that position. So look at this run. We'll fast forward it like midway, just so you can see like some of the big damage, and then I'll let it all play out at the end. But let's see a head that's decapitated. Look what Kro'khad does. If he does his single target hit, man, he pops out with some big damage. These heads, they don't typically go through their turn count there to come back. They usually just come back because we do so much damage to them. So turn meter boosting and stuff isn't really needed here because you're going fast enough to kill the heads and then have them respawn. If you're boosting turn meter more, you're just going to be doing a bunch of damage into Serpent's Will, basically. Like there we have almost 2 million on that far left head. No soul whatsoever as well. Let's keep that in mind. But I just want to see him use this single target hit. He will in just a minute. Tholin popping off with 1 million plus damage. Counterattack with tons of damage, almost 1 million per head. Easily able to do 1 million per head if you had the soul and had him built even stronger. Not a problem whatsoever. Unfortunately, we may not be able to see him do this big hit here. Let's see. Okay. And also we have Force Affinity plus a Magic Affinity head. Here we go. Maybe we get to see it here. Doesn't take him long to just knock down everything. Tholin's extra turns were actually quite impressive to me. 1.4 million from Kro'khad there. Over on that head of Mischief, it looks like. I bet you he's going to use his big hit here in just a moment. So let's see what happens. 1.6 million. Okay, A1. All right, Kro'khad, we got to get you using your other abilities. His presets could have been messed up, which is why he's not focusing that ability. Possibly. There we go. 2 million damage, basically. I guess 1.8, 1.7 million damage. But either way, guys, I'm going to leave this entire run linked at the end of this video, sped up a little bit, of course. There's a... No, it's his Shayek's staff. I thought it was a gap in my green screen. All right, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on this team. Sorry about the +4 Mithrala. I wish I could take her down just for this video. Maybe I could just Photoshop that +4 out. That'll basically fix it, right? Either way, scale this team down to what you need for your account. Take in consideration, I do have these bonuses as well. They are being added to the skills, but that's why they're a little bit higher possibly. Either way, thank you all very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. Be at tomorrow's stream on any of the platforms. Would love to have you guys out there. And best of luck to everybody going for the account giveaway. Of course, if you watch this in the future, the account giveaway has probably already happened. But later, guys.